If you notice that you are toning yourself down, your messaging, and taming down and pulling back from it, fully expressing yourself, but you know there's so much more that you would want to say and want to say, that there's so much more that you could be expressing. If you notice that you're hitting an income plateau, or if you're feeling like you're not fully expressing yourself in your messaging, there are few things that you could do. This is for you. Before I go into sharing what to do about it, I want to kind of bring attention to and explain what is the most common reason why this happens. Oftentimes, with increased visibility comes more scrutiny. You're under a bigger lens, and everything that you do and say is much more analyzed, and you're being called to take more responsibility and accountability by your clients and your audience, and they demand a sort of this more accountability and more responsibility from you. And as we live in the online world where our audiences feel that much more closer to us, and because of the popularity of TikTok and other social media platforms, audiences want to feel like they know us. They want to know us on a deeper level, same as with celebrities. So they will also want to find out more about where you stand on certain issues, where you stand on certain topics. And often, as authority leaders, as figures that are at the forefront of what we do, they will want us to express how we're feeling, and they will want to know how we feel about certain world events, about political landscape and everything, because they want to know who are they investing with. And as a result, with our increased level of scrutiny that we experience, there are three directions in which we could go. The first one is withdraw even more, tone down our expression and our messaging even more, play it safe and less visibility, play it safe and just keep the level of our business where we're at. However, as authority, as leaders, this is not in our nature. It is not in our nature to tone ourselves down and not fully express. And when we do that, it can sometimes feel like a self-betrayal within, because we know that there is so much more that we could be and have and do and make a greater impact. And if we're not allowing ourselves to fully express ourselves and we're toning down, it can feel very stifling. It can feel like you can experience quite a lot of that stuck energy, and it can sometimes feel like a self-betrayal. The second direction in which we could go is simply continue as we're doing and avoid addressing anything, which often causes kind of loss of audience and clients, because there will be times that they will ask you to weigh in, and the lack of action and the lack of accountability, or the lack of any acknowledgement from you will in most cases and most likely cause loss of audience and clients, or at the very minimum loss of trust. And for your audiences and for your clients, trust is on what is that relationship based on. And the third way, in the third direction in which we could go is, and this is what I want to talk about today, and this is where I would want you to go, is to take accountability, to take that responsibility, and fully own the messaging, and prepare yourself for whatever might come your way, and be able to stay in that space of taking full accountability and owning your message and staying in your sovereignty. And I want to help you go through that towards that third direction, and stop withdrawing and avoiding as much as possible, so and go towards taking that accountability so that you and your business can thrive even more, so that you can feel fully congruent when you're running that business and knowing that you are not keeping yourself back, that you are there with your full expression, and that you can stay fully in your own sovereignty and own your messaging. At the root of it all, and this is what I want to talk about today, is at the root of avoidance and at the root of withdrawal is oftentimes fear. I want to invite you to explore what comes up for you. Take the time to pause this video and reflect. When it comes to that fear of getting canceled and your natural reaction to either avoid or withdraw, what are the further emotions that are coming up? What is that fear about? What are you exactly fearing? And take time to reflect on that. And from my experience, what I notice oftentimes is that fear is often related to fear of making a mistake or getting it wrong. So, or making a wrong decision, taking a wrong action. So what happens as the result of the fear, of the emotion that we experience, the fear that is making it wrong, we get into defensiveness and resistance, and then our vulnerable self, our oftentimes inner child self, that wants to be protected and that wants to feel safe and that wants to be free from pain, creates these coping mechanisms and coping behaviors. And these coping mechanisms and behaviors are the resistance and withdrawal and avoidance, because oftentimes it feels like it doesn't feel safe to face that discomfort of making that mistake. So the goal here is to get more comfortable with making mistakes and to stay in that space of discomfort, to stay longer in the space of to start feeling the safety and the discomfort in the unknown. And one thing to remember in here, oftentimes those mechanisms come as a result of us wanting to avoid emotions. So I would love to for you to kind of reflect back. What emotions are you trying to avoid? And if it's fear, or if it's a fear of making a mistake or getting a decision wrong, what stories are attached to that fear, or what stories are attached to those emotions? What assumptions and conclusions are you making about yourself that are related to those emotions that you're trying to avoid? Because from personal experience of going through this process myself over the past couple of years, and noticing how I got defensive and resistant to make change when someone confronted with me with something that I have said or I have done, oftentimes I would get either avoidant or I would get defensive. And I observed that my inner child did not know how to deal with that. And all it wanted to do as a result was to protect myself. So, and the more I went deeper into exploring what was behind that defensiveness and why was I afraid to make a mistake or get a decision wrong, is because there were a lot of stories that I attached to that, that meant about me if I made a mistake or did something wrong. If I hurt someone, there was a lot of stories that were connected to that I equalize the meaning. I make a mistake, that means I am such a horrible, bad person. Or I made a mistake, I'm a failure. I made a mistake, oh, I cannot afford myself, the perfection, I should do better. So I want to invite you to explore what are those stories that are attached to those emotions and defensive systems that you tell yourself. What are the assumptions that you make about yourself and conclusions? And what are you making it mean about yourself? Because this is where your clue will be. In those stories that we tell ourselves, in those, what are we making it, the meaning that we attach to those emotions and those scenarios. How do you move forward? The best way to move forward is to reframe. One of the ways that you can reframe it is reframe being canceled with being called to take accountability and responsibility. So just by doing that, you are taking this weight off of this and pressure. It no longer feels like a drastic thing. It feels more in control, because being cancelled removes that control away from you rather than being called to take accountability, because then it's a two-way thing and you can focus on you. Secondly, again, dive deeper and identify the underlying emotions that cause that initial reaction, defensiveness or avoidance, or explore those fears and the stories that you are attaching and the meaning that you are giving to those. And unless you do, you will not be able to move forward unless you address that fear. And once you figure out the fear, then you can start working on how to overcome that fear. Now, that can be done in multiple ways. However, it is, I can't say what will work for everyone. For people who are very used to doing this inner work, oftentimes it's as easy as doing something that puts you out of comfort zone, reflection. Sometimes, however, that takes a little bit more deeper work, and this is what I do with my clients, and I would love to invite you, if this is something that you would like to explore, to book a call with me. And this is what we do in my one-to-one work. We dive into those assumptions and stories and connected behaviors, habits and defensive mechanisms, and we look at what is the core story and what is the core root cause of what is causing those behaviors, so that as soon as you stop whatever it is at the root cause, it becomes so much easier to address the behaviors, correct the behavior, change those habits, and change the way we react to situations. Because when you remove what is kind of pushing those buttons, then you avoid going down that chain reaction of your responses, the usual responses. And we work to help you feel safer in the discomfort, safer and more comfortable in that discomfort. We build your resilience to that discomfort so that you are no longer going through those behaviors of deflection and defensiveness and withdrawal and avoidance. We help you become, as we reparent your inner child, which is often what happens in these situations, is that as we reparent your inner child together, of course, you build that, you step out of, in those situations when they happen, you step out of inner child reactions as an inner child, and you start reacting and taking actions and doing things as an adult. And we help recontextualize those things so that you can create a more positive habits and behaviors and reactions for yourself. So if you would love to explore how that looks like, if you would like to see whether we are a good fit to work together, I would love to support you. And you can find all the links on my YouTube channel, TikTok channel, or Instagram, and connect with me there. If you have any questions, I would love to know. You can also share them in the comments. Bye.